This short video, I'm going to talk about the social media and the far right. So central to the discussion of the riots at Capitol has been the role of social media, especially after news of Donald Trump being banned in Facebook and Twitter made headlines. We have also read, of course, about Parler being booted off the internet and then suing Amazon, its web hosting service. Now we saw downloads have surged for messaging apps such as Signal that are securely encrypted or designed to cater specifically to the ultra-conservative users such as MeWe, Gab, and Rumble. Why does this matter? Because monitoring and curbing discourse that lead to far-right violence is even harder on these private apps than in more public forums. There's been a lot of discussion how social media is partly to blame for what happened at the Capitol, that it has taken a life of its own rather than simply a tool for making social connections or planning important events such as protests. So early discussions about social media have been very positive and even celebratory, highlighting its power to mobilize people to topple dictatorships, as we've seen during the Arab Spring, or to call attention to the role of financial institutions and the elite, what we call the 1%, in causing extreme inequalities. But recent research by sociologists such as Jen Sharati have highlighted how the right has actually benefited more from social media. So in her book, The Revolution That Wasn't, How Digital Activism Favors Conservatives, Sharati shows that the rise of social media has not democratized or evened the playing field. It has actually not given everyone an opportunity to influence public discourse. It has made the voice of the most sophisticated and well-funded players louder. I strongly suggest reading her book. In this short video, I'm going to focus on why the infrastructure of social media has benefited the right and how the right has taken advantage of this infrastructure and exploited in every possible way and devised ways to circumvent any form of monitoring. So first is on why the infrastructure of social media has benefited the right. So in an internal study by Facebook published in March last year, March 2020, 64% of those who joined extremist organizations like Proud Boys and those who purvey conspiracy theories such as QAnon were attracted based on recommendations in their Facebook. So Facebook executives admit that, and I quote, "Our algorithms exploit the human brain's attraction to divisiveness," end quote. So what we are seeing here is that social media platforms like Twitter, YouTube, and especially Facebook know that emotionally inflammatory content gets shared more, generating more profit. So as Filipino journalist Maria Ressa said, based on how disinformation has spread in the Philippines, and I quote, "Lies laced with anger and hate spreads fastest on social media," end quote. I mentioned the Philippines here because according to whistleblower of Cambridge Analytica, Christopher Wiley, the Philippines was a petri dish for misinformation and fake news that led to the election of Rodrigo Duterte months before the election of Donald Trump in 2016. So basically, tech companies have built systems that promote and escalate the spread of the most shocking, the most appalling, the most hateful message, rather than content that enable people to pause and reflect and analyze. So what this is saying is that social media technology is not neutral. It has a bias. It is biased towards messages that get more attention. And outrage is one that catches our attention and gets shared more. So is this intentional? So that could be a question that we could ask. Did Facebook design it this way? Facebook executives and even coders would say that they just built the technology. They just write the algorithms. It's true. They're not in the business of content creation, but they do create the infrastructure where we will only see in our newsfeed the most outrageous the angriest, divisive, simplified posts about very complex issues. So we're talking here about the socialization through social media. And these sites of how the right exploits this in every possible way. So the right has mastered the use of memes, for instance. So people respond to images in a stronger way than to text. Sociologists of the far right, such as Cynthia Idris Miller, has shown how the far right has mainstreamed their messages, and they do this using popular culture. So far right groups, just like any other political actor, utilize cultural means to win hearts and minds, as they say, of potential adherents. So they use effective and aesthetic means. And memes, of course, have a certain appeal. Memes appear to be harmless instances of everyday visual culture, and they're ironic. And if you can decipher it, you're part of that crowd that really buy into this ironic popular culture. But they can convey ideological narratives of hate and bigotry as well. So it is useful here to draw from cultural theorists Stuart Hall's encoding decoding to understand the power of memes. In basic terms, humans communicate through a process of encoding and decoding. The encoder is the person who develops and sends the message. Producers construct complex text, of course, often with a very clear idea of what they intend to say. But this intended message is not simply sort of like dumped into the minds of passive audiences. Instead, audiences interpret the message, assigning meanings to its various components, the photo, the text, the sound, etc., and the combination of all of those. Sometimes there will be a very close correspondence between the intended meaning and the ways a particular audience interprets the message. But there is no guarantee that the producers will get their messages across in the ways they want. For someone who already harbors some racist sentiments based on their lived experience or interaction offline, they interpret far-right memes in ways that the encoder of the text may have intended. So, and the far right has an army of influencers actually out there whose main tasks are just to foment hate and design messages that appeal aesthetically and emotionally, like memes. Because as I mentioned earlier, this will most likely be shared and appear on people's news feeds because of the algorithms. So I want to quote what Lisa Bogarts and Meg Philippe said in their conclusion on their study of the visual memes of the far right. And I quote, by employing humorous ambiguity, hipsterish aesthetics or references to popular culture, particularly cartoons and video games, this more subtle, not overtly political imagery might offer spaces or access points for undecided and not yet politicized users to develop affinities with the support for far-right causes. Hence, we need to put more emphasis on the power of everyday images in order to understand the ways that the far right attracts supporters, especially if we hope to reverse their mainstreaming strategies, end quote. But again, just to emphasize, the social media was a means for the far right to grow. The far right has been building for years, for decades. Many sociologists have studied this so-called invisible or hidden spaces of hate, where they learn about white supremacist ideas beyond, for example, our control or beyond even the surveillance of society or the state. So we can't just shut down social media and expect that they will stop mobilizing. We need to get into the root cause of white supremacist groups grow. And of course, we have to address the various issues such as systemic racism, capitalism, patriarchy, etc. I hope that you found this video very useful in understanding the way social media has contributed to the rise of the far right. Thank you.